If, like you said, if you're able to go invest in like 100 sets, like 100 of one set, a $10 movement in price if you're holding 100 sets is $1,000.
We were in another buying or selling group at one point, and he just noticed that I was posting a lot of stuff on Lego, and he said, "Yeah, come on over. I want you to come into my group and just kind of talk some more Lego because you seem to have all this little knowledge and everything about it." So I was like, "Really? I do. I didn't think anybody would listen to my knowledge here." But Greg he's basically sold tens of thousands of toys on Amazon. His strategy is very simple. He's an accomplished author, like I said, of Toyfolio, and his book has helped hundreds of people make thousands of dollars by buying and holding toys. And yeah, I can definitely attest that folks in there, they get anywhere from like 500% ROI on some of these toys. And we're actually going to bring up one of those toys on the show today. So thank you, Greg, for joining us.
Yeah, happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
So, I really wanted to bring in the show. I mean, a lot of people that are in the kind of Lego investing space, they're all focused on buying the best Lego as they can and kind of figuring out what it is. And some of them don't know, which Lego to get. When's it gonna make money? When do I want to do it? I mean, they just kind of go into the store and just buy whatever they want. And I know, and because we've had that experience, that sometimes Lego is not the best one to start out with, but really toys is probably one of them. And what kind of got you started into buying toys?
If you want to start at the very beginning, what got me onto Amazon, that's a little bit longer of a story. But basically, try to make it as short as possible. Back in 2014, I was making about $35,000 a year, and I was engaged to be married, and realized one day that, my wife, she was getting ready to graduate college, and she was getting ready to go to grad school, which means she would not be working outside of school. We're going to try to do our best to allow her to just focus 100% on school. And so the income for the household was 100% my responsibility. And so, being nervous that I wouldn't be able to provide for her, I started selling on Amazon. And it was honestly just trying to make a few hundred extra dollars, a couple extra $100 a month. Like, that would have been life-changing money at the time. Like, it would have given us, a little bit more flexibility, a little bit more freedom. And since then, it's just kind of snowballed into this huge operation where I'm touching, thousands of toys a week, it seems like, and shipping out tens of, like this week I've shipped out over $10,000 worth of toys to Amazon FBA. So it's become a pretty big operation, but it's, toys itself, back when I was starting, I was trying out every category. I sold grocery. The very first item I sold FBA was pancake mix. It was a grocery item. And so I tested grocery items. I tested health and beauty products, household items. Toys was just what kind of came naturally. It was kind of the easiest. At the time, there wasn't a lot of prep involved with toys. Like, you didn't have a lot of the labeling and polybagging and all that kind of stuff you had to do with like shampoo or groceries or something like that. So the time saved in prepping toys really kind of appealed to me because I didn't have a lot of time to do the tedious prep work with shampoo and grocery items around a full-time job. So always allowed me to, work a little bit faster, not work as much, but still make money. And so it's been a rabbit trail from there. I've kind of accidentally become an expert in toys because I've just been looking at toys for now like 7 years straight.
It's such a wonderful category to really get into. I mean, it's, myself, I started the same way as you. I mean, I didn't really start in toys. It's funny, you remember the first thing he sold though, and I remember it was I think it was a Pittsburgh Pirates like shirt. I sold it on eBay or something. I got it at the thrift store, but it's funny you remember that. But yeah, I mean, toys is definitely one of those categories that it's got some great margins in it, with it. The strategies that Greg does teach, it's very much in line with the Lego investing, where you would basically buy it and then you're going to hold it for a longer period of time. So when did you actually come up with that? Like, when was that? When did it like click in your head? Like, oh man, like, oh, I'm buying this, and the pancake mix, you don't obviously going to hold that. But like, when you started selling the toys, like, was there like a moment that you had, like, you were like, wow, maybe I can do something different than what I'm doing now?
Yeah. And so 2015 was my first like full year on Amazon. And that year I was what they call turn and burning as much as possible. Like I was buying inventory, sending it in as soon as I bought it, selling it as soon as it hit the warehouse. Like, and that can be tedious, that can be really tiring, it can burn you out. And I just remember one over the course of that year, like narrowing my focus to toys, like over the course of that year. And then when it got to Q4, November, December of 2015, I was watching all the toys that I was selling. Like I would go back and look at, like, say if I sold a toy in like mid-November, I was going back and looking at what the price was just like 2, 3 weeks later in December. And like my jaw would just hit the floor because I look at the price I sold it at and it was, 2 and 3 times the price what I sold it at. And I was like, how in the world are these people knowing that the toys are going to go for this much, or do they know that they're going to go for this much? And I just started like just digging deep into Keepa charts, seeing what toys do during peak Q4. And then I kind of decided in 2016, I was like, I noticed a pattern that once toys get cleared out of, retailers, that, obviously come Christmas time, they're not around for customers to buy them. So the only place that they can buy them are third party websites like Amazon or eBay. And so I went into 2016 with the mindset of I'm going to find really good toys and hold them throughout the year and sell them in around Christmas, and I'll be one of the only sellers that has them. And we'll see what happens. And it paid off beautifully in 2016, and I've just kind of honed that strategy since 2016, and it's working very well.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, Greg, I know you're a humble guy, but you've sold over $2 million worth of toys since you've started,
Right.
and you're this is not even your full time job, right?
No, I just do this part time. It's a blessing to be able to do that, and it continues to grow. Like I've it sounds like a lot, but I think in the next year I can hit like a full million in one calendar year. Um, the snowball is really starting to roll, and so I'm excited to see if that could happen. We'll see.
Yeah, like I mean, it's like every year it like compounds off of, you
Yep.
grew a little bit from each year, and then you keep reinvesting that into your next year and your projection and everything like that. And that's something that with Lego you can do the same thing, except that there's a longer period of time to get started in Lego.
Yep.
So it's kind of one of those things that you might not get that right away. It's very delayed gratification. I like to think of it as planting a tree. You're not going to harvest that apple for like 5 or 6 years, but once you get that tree growing and you let it grow, it's going to provide fruit for you for the rest of your life. And this
Absolutely.
is this is the toy category, Legos, any kind of collectible things. It seems to be like a really good opportunity for a lot of folks.
Yeah, I mean, once you snowball that capital and get your capital build up, the opportunities are just endless. Like there's even with more capital than I've had in the 7 years I've been doing it, like I still can't buy everything that I want to buy. Like there's just so many good products out there that I know that if I could invest in them and hold them for 6 months to 2 years or whatever, that I would double and triple my money easily.
Mhm.
It's just a matter of having the capital to buy it all.
Exactly, exactly. As you know, with Lego, most of the most of the sweet spot I think for a lot of holding is if you get it at it depending on what the buy cost that you get it at. I mean, because you can get some clearance toys and you could send that in like pretty quickly after that because the price does hold. But most of the stuff that when I invest in stuff, I'm holding it even if I got a clearance for like at least 2 years. With toys, what do you generally see, and like what's the kind of turnaround time that you see to where you can get a good return on investment?
Some as soon as 3 months, but usually on average on for toys, I'm holding 6 months to a year. It's really not super long. I mean, there's occasions where it goes past that year, but normally in the life cycle of a toy, once it's cleared out or stopped being produced, or retailers stop carrying online, especially with a good sales rank. If it has a good Amazon sales rank, then it sells through very quickly, and the sellers disappear really fast, and the price goes up pretty fast, and you're basically able to name your price. And I mean, I always talk about desired ROI. Like, some people desire to only make 50% on a 50% return on a toy. Some people want they want nothing less than 100%, and some people want over 100%. So it just depends on your cash flow and what you desire, because if you want to go ahead and take 50-60% ROI on a toy, you can sell it in 2 to 3 months. If you want to wait for 100, you may have to wait 6 months or more.
Hmm.
It just depends on a lot of
Yeah.
different variables.
And then that's one of the things we talked about. I know in your group, I spoke on cash flow in your business, and especially with Lego, in the beginning of investing in it, if you're holding it for 2 years, there's literally no cash coming in at that point, and so you're kind of stuck with what you invested in, but you want to be able to make some capital so you can invest that into other things a little bit more longer term, like in Lego. But it's really important, I think, in a business, especially when you're starting out, to find something that you are able to generate some cash flow with it, where it might not be a long-term hold, but it's a shorter period of time that you're getting that additional capital that you can reinvest it into other things and kind of do that. I mean, it's like anything, we might take our own investments that we make from our business here, and we might put it into like real estate or some other things, Bitcoin or all these other things that we can invest in. Having that kind of wide range of the portfolio they have is seems to be a good strategy to have. And speaking of that, I mean, your book, I mean, itself, Toyfolio, I mean, excellent. I mean, really good read. If you guys haven't check it out on Amazon. I'll put the links down in the show notes and everything. But I think you did a chapter just on Lego, right?
Yeah, I think it's called Buying Holding Gold. All about Legos. Just kind of walking through examples of Lego sets that I've sold, and just kind of some of the numbers around Legos.
What would you have to say? What would you say would be your favorite thing about just investing in Lego itself?
I love the certainty of it. If you look at a Keepa chart, that's one of the points that I make in that chapter, is that Legos really never go down in price. Like, you see some toys kind of lose their MSRP value over time. You see a lot of times, like this time of year, there's going to be hot toys that are released, and they have a high MSRP price of $60 or $70, but then in 2-3 years, you may see them for half that price or less.
Hmm.
And that's you can see that in the toy side of things, but specifically Legos, do you see them retail for maybe 20 to 30% off during their lifetime, but post retirement, they never go down. Like,
Hmm.
never. Like,
Hmm.
they all go up. Like, even
Yep.
the not so popular sets at least like maintain their value.
Hmm.
And so that's what I really like most about Lego, is the certainty that the price of them is going to be, you know, it's going to go up, it's going to maintain value. People still are going to pay at least over MSRP for it.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, I mean, for those of you who are just kind of new into investing in Lego, with Lego, most of the time, we're trying to get a really good return on investment with it. Nothing, there's always risk with anything. I mean, you always have to do your own due diligence with anything, no matter what anybody tells you. Out of all the different toys that I've sold over the years as well, since I started, Lego has been the strongest category because you're right, it just holds its actual value. And I think one thing I remember you were well, I think we were you were talking one time, I think, and you mentioned that even when there's a clearance Lego, because like I said, my strategy is a little different. I don't send in clearance Lego. I hold on to it for a while. But, if I were to send it in, even with the amount of sellers that goes up, because when you look at the Keepa charts, the sellers go up, and usually on other toys, the price will go down. It's just kind of the economics of how it is. But with Lego, it seems to just kind of hold steady. It holds that line, of the price in there, and you just don't see that with a lot of other toys or anything else. That happens. I mean, it just never happens like that when you've seen it. So.
Yeah. The market gobbles up anything less than MSRP or anything less than a retail store price. So even if somebody is getting a clearance set for 75% off and they have, a huge margin to play with to where they can still make a great ROI, if they price it lower than what it is in a store on Amazon or eBay, like it's gone just like that. And so the market just eats up any inefficiencies in the prices like that. And like you said, the price just kind of holds the line and never really takes a dip.
Mhm.
It's really beautiful to see. And it's really reassuring, and it gives you confidence as a reseller, knowing that everything you buy, you're not going to lose money on.
Mhm.
Like it's almost impossible to lose money on Legos if you're
Mhm.
doing it right.
Speaking of that, do you have a particular strategy with Lego? I mean, I know that you'd said that you might not hold on to it as long for it, but are you starting to kind of hold on to some portion of your inventory longer than, like, say, a year? I mean, is that something that you're looking into?
Yeah. So right now my strategy is like during the clearance seasons, a lot of times because I'm not able to get like a huge quantity of any one set, selling through those for cash
Mhm.
flow most of the
Mhm.
time, because most of the time in my area, I'm able to, and people don't believe me, but most of the time I can find sets for like 75% off. And
Mhm.
so I can make sometimes 100 and 200% ROI like out the gate,
Mhm.
like even match an MSRP price. I can double and triple my money selling clearance Lego and get that cash back and put that in other parts of my business. Where I'm like holding more Lego now. Yes, I'm holding some Lego more than a year, and I tend to focus more on themed sets
Mhm.
of, really good like movie theme sets where there's good Keepa data. I'm getting it at what I think is a good price, even if I'm paying full price, just
Mhm.
based on Keepa charts,
Mhm.
where you can see where Amazon goes out of stock. You can see what price it goes to. You can see the sales rank at that price. So if it maintains a strong sales rank even when Amazon's out of stock, that's really good data to me. And so it kind of gives you an indication of like post retirement what it could exceed past what the market's going to value it at. And so yeah, so I'm looking at those kind of things. Most of my like longer term holds, we talk about theme sets, are mainly Jurassic World,
Mhm.
Star Wars, Harry Potter, those type of themes. Because if you look at Keepa charts, you see the consistency in those brands
Mhm.
over the long term, and so it gives me confidence in those brands.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's definitely though that's a great strategy, especially for you guys who are new out there. With if you're looking for the cash flow, that's probably a good time to do it because, like you said, you're not going to find 20 of the same item on clearance. Well, maybe you can if you go to a bunch of different stores, and I
Yeah,
have found that many myself, but like you're not going to walk into one store and you're going to be having a crate full of the same Lego set. And as the more SKUs that you have or the more different ones that you have, the more work you got to do to sell it and put it in and all that stuff. So it's a lot easier just to get a bunch of them. But that's really good to start out, if you're just starting out, is to kind of start with that to get some cash flow and then reinvest that into, more sets. And because my thing is similar to yours, I'm looking at particular ones. But the one thing that I'm also looking at is to make my life a little bit easier is to have everything in one box where it's ready to go. And I will have a quantity of, 25 of them in a box, as opposed to having like ones and twos of everything else, because
Yeah.
that's just more work for yourself. So, and I know that you do the same thing as well, but that's how I'm thinking of it when I'm doing it. I'm like, well, where can I get 100 of the same Lego right here for, whatever price it is that's, decent, that I know I'm going to make a certain amount of money off of it. And that way there, when I have to go prep everything to send it in, it's just a lot easier.
Yeah, when you have those ones and twos like that you buy on clearance, and you're not very deep in any one particular set, holding it long term, yes, it can pay off, but like say you can make $20 today, or if you hold it for a year, you make like $45. Like
Hmm.
$25 difference on that one or two sets is not, it doesn't really move the needle, so to speak. But if, like you said, if you're able to go invest in like 100 sets, like 100 of one set, like a $10 movement in price for if you're holding 100 sets is $1,000. Like so,
Hmm.
like every $10 it goes up is another $1,000 you make.
Hmm.
And so that's where it gets fun.
Yeah, yeah, and obviously me and you have been doing this for a while, so it's not something that new folks, just starting out, are going to be able to do. But it's something that you can plan, towards, as you go along. Because I mean, we didn't start out doing that. I mean, I was scrapping together stuff myself when I started out. I was selling whatever I could sell, books and whatever I could find at garage sales. I mean, just to get some capital to keep the cash flowing. But and that's one, that's the reason why I brought up the cash flow, is because that is so important when you're starting out, and investing in toys or Lego or anything, because if you don't have capital, you're going to have some missed opportunities on some things when they come around. And if you're watching this now, I mean, we're in October, and we're getting ready. I don't know about you, Greg, but I'm getting ready. I'm salivating for Black Friday and all these deals. And I think everything's coming earlier this year, so I'm ready to go. I don't know about you. What do you got? You got anything planned? You got anything planned for next couple weeks?
I'm anxious to see what the retailers are going to do. Like, I really want to see like how soon Target and Walmart and the likes are going to post deals. I remember last year Walmart started their Black Friday deals in early November, and so I'm really hoping they do the same this year because I was cleaning up. And if they do some of the similar stuff as they did last year, I'm gonna be driving all over the United States, buying stuff, having the team go out and find stuff, ordering as much I can online. It's a lot of fun this time of year.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. I mean, there's so many opportunities now, and having the cash to go out there at the right time is what you want to do, for growing your business, in it. And maybe getting yourself a nice big van like you got, so you can go scoop up all clear out all those stores on the East Coast. You got to see on the East Coast of
Yeah,
Carolina, right?
right, right.
I'm kind of central Carolina. No, I don't go out as much as you do, with it. I'm more of a kind of an online guy. I mean, sometimes I'll go out myself, but if you guys don't know, I mean, I know we've been talking about Keepa. So there's actually, if you look above, I'll post the video I did on Keepa training on, how to use Keepa. But really, that's one of the I think it's probably one of the best tools that I find to use, for just finding, good deals, and making sure that, things are kind of looking good, with it. And with Lego, it's kind of like I'm just kind of looking at the price now and the amount of sellers, and then I use more Keepa for Lego, at least, to tell me when I should sell it. Like at the point of like, okay, now I got my return on investment right here. I set my alert for that. But how are you using Keepa? Like, are you using it to actually find deals, like, right away? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, they have a really neat feature called the Keep a Product Finder where you can kind of filter. by brand. You can filter by rank. I mean, there's literally like 100 different filters you can apply to it and kind of get it narrowed down to like the exact thing that you want to see. Find a lot of Amazon to Amazon flips with Keepa. You can kind of set it up to like tell you how long or how often Amazon goes out of stock on something and all kinds of stuff. I mean, there's you can spend weeks just going through Keepa data, and I mean, there's just so much product out there in every category. I mean, just on the toy category, you could spend weeks looking at it, and there's millions of products, literally millions of products to look at. But that's one of the coolest features about Keepa is that you can kind of almost like reverse search or reverse engineer like what you're looking for. Like you can filter, especially like looking for retired Legos, you can filter back to dates. So like if you know that an average lifespan of a Lego set is 18 to 24 months at retail, you could go to Keepa right now and search sets that are from 2019 and later and see if they're still available at a MSRP price. And you basically, you're buying a 2-year-old set at MSRP that most likely is going to retire within the next year because average lifespan of Lego says so. And so you kind of can, it's a very good shortcut to basically find the sets that you can invest in now that should retire in the near future. That you're not having to wait. You're not going to have to like wait for that 2 years. Because if you go into like a Walmart right now and buy like a brand new Lego set and you're going to hold it for retirement, well, you may hold it for 3-4 years before you get the ROI that you want. You want to go find that 2 or 3-year-old set that you can still buy at MSRP, knowing that in the next year or two you could sell it for what you want to double your money for.
Yeah, that's absolutely great advice for any type of Lego because, you know, like you said, you're trying to shorten the window of when you can cash in on it. And if you buy something new and you don't sell it right away, then that's your money's just kind of being tied up. And I like to say parking your money and you know, you don't want to be in the long term parking. You know, you want it to be in the shorter term parking, midterm parking, so to speak. Yeah, and that's, I mean, Keepa is wonderful. I mean, you know, one of the things I like to use Keepa for myself is when I know that a set is retiring, and you know, there's that time when Amazon is kind of in and out of stock on it, and we're going to actually get into one of these sets in a little bit. Well, I should look at something right here, but when they're kind of in and out of stock, and you know, sometimes you can catch it, you know, when it's in stock, even though it's like not really like available anywhere else. And if you know where those are and you set your alerts for that, I mean, you can get, you know, retired Lego basically, you know, if you are there at the right time to pull the trigger on it. You know, you only get a few here and there, but I mean, it's still like, it's just like, oh, here's my alert right now. Let me just go on my phone and buy it. You know, like there I go. I just made like 40, $50, you know, and like I can instantly send it in and it's like, you know, an extra $40 right away. So, I mean, just doing that strategy too is something that can, you know, pay off. I probably shouldn't tell everybody that, you know, like we have all this competition now. No, it's not. I mean, I'm an abundance kind of guy, so I don't believe that anyways. But yeah, Keepa is wonderful to find things out. Just so you guys know, Keepa is free. However, they have a paid plan that you probably want to get to. The feature that Greg was talking about, you have to pay for, but it's really like, I think it's like $15 a month. I mean, it's
the best value out there. Like it's the one tool like you have to pay for in my opinion. Like it's essential to run an Amazon business.
Yeah, so if you're selling on Amazon or even if you're buying product on Amazon, don't even think about that. Just that's one tool that you cannot go without having it. I mean, you can try the free one out, but honestly, like, I mean, if that's holding you back, then you probably shouldn't be doing Lego investing anyways.
Yeah. The rate of return just on Keepa is 1,000+%. Like it makes you thousands of dollars for what you pay for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, speaking of Keepa, let's dive in. I want to actually take a look at a couple of sets here. You know, as we were talking about the retired sets and everything, that's ultimately where at least my strategy is for finding things. I know a lot of people invest in things, around Q4. I think there are some sets that you might be able to do a quick flip on, so to speak. But I gotta be honest with you, it's kind of not a strategy that I'm doing anymore. Because I end up holding on to it for a lot longer if it doesn't sell for the price I want it on. Really, working with the retired sets is something that I would suggest, and a lot of times is, and you'll notice this too, Greg, in the stores. They have different cycles of when they are available in the stores, and that doesn't always line up with when they're going to retire. But it does kind of give you an indication of when that actually goes on to clearance, that it's getting closer to retirement. And that's kind of when I look at, okay, well, maybe one of these sets I might not have gotten it in clearance, but what can I do? Can I find it somewhere else online? So one of the sets that just recently retired is, and I know you're a big fan. Look at this. I got this little guy right here because I know you know all these guys right here, little Jurassic World guys here. But yeah, speaking of Jurassic World, how did you even get into the Jurassic World? Because I gotta be honest with you, until I met you, I mean, I watched all the movies and everything, but I never looked at a Jurassic World toy differently until I met you. Like, what made you like that particular theme?
It's just one that just like I couldn't ignore anymore. Like it was, I kept coming across it over and over again. I think going back to that, 2015 year, I saw some of those toys go for big money. And then in 2016, when I started really doing the buy and hold strategy that I've taught others to do now, I think it was the very first Indominus Rex toy that came out. And it was like the larger one that's kind of like in Target now, but it was the first edition of it. And Walmart cleared those out for like $9 a piece. I think the MSRP was like 30 or 40 bucks. Found a bunch of them on clearance for $9 a piece, and I held them for Christmas. And I sold all of them. I think I had like probably 50 or 60 of them, but I sold all of them at $90 and thought that I had like hit the lottery because I had bought for 9 and sold for 90. And then they went on to like hit like 200 plus or something like that. It was insane. And so like ever since that day, I'm like, I just pay attention to Jurassic World stuff. And like if you look at the Keepa chart on Jurassic World toys, like it's just insane. But especially Jurassic World Lego, like every single Jurassic World Lego, the Keepa chart just pops.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like that's why I got this one up here. So this one is set number 75928, and it's the Jurassic World Blues Helicopter Pursuit. I believe this one retired officially somewhere in 2020, I believe. Somewhere around there. Um, so I think this one, if you were lucky enough to get it, maybe you got it on clearance. I don't know, maybe for $16, $18, somewhere around there. I'd have to look at my sheet myself, but look what this has done so far. I mean, this is only maybe a little over a year out, and this thing is already, at least it's almost up to $100. I mean, it touched $100 at one point, or 80, 90, somewhere around that vicinity. I mean, it's just phenomenal, like to see that return on investment so quickly. So, I mean, if we look at the chart right here, 105, I mean, it's already 162% after a year. I mean, do you see that often with a lot of other toy categories? I mean, I don't know. Like my
I mean,
portfolio is a lot
yeah,
in Lego, and you got a much bigger toy portfolio than I do.
yeah, I mean, it's definitely possible. But it just goes back to that consistency I was telling you about earlier with Lego. Like, you know that you're going to get that kind of stuff with Lego. Some of the other toys, it just depends on the toy, it depends on the Keepa chart, depends on a lot of variables in the market. Like, we've seen some toys like kind of like retire and then like come back to retail like a year or two later. And so
Mm.
it kind of, throws off the market price for it. But Lego, I think there's like maybe less than a handful of examples where Lego has like brought something out of retirement. I mean, it's like there's only like 2 or 3 sets ever that's happened. I'm thinking of like the the ship in the bottle or something. They like
Mm-hmm.
redid that one.
Yep.
Um, so I
Yep.
mean, there's very rare cases where that kind of stuff happens. Now Lego is notorious for like redoing sets, like
Mm-hmm.
the same thing, like the same like theme set with same similar
Yep.
characters and stuff like that. But and that kind of messes up the market too. But still, overall, like by that point, you're at ROIs where it's still great money.
Yeah, and you know, and the thing about this too is that this is just before Q4. I mean, this could go up a little bit higher. I mean, this could probably go back over $100. I don't know,
It'll
maybe
easily go back over
for
$100 this
that
year.
around Christmas time. I mean, I just, you know, and this is just, you know, this just really speaks to it is that, you know, looking at all these different themes and everything and looking at these obviously you can't, you know, one of the things I always say, I stress out is that you can't look at this, you know, particular set and say every single set is going to be like this because unfortunately it's not always like that. It's going to go up, but some of these themes and some of these particular ones they seem to be more popular. So by looking at that and kind of spotting those trends in there, you know, you'll notice that you'll see those particular ones go up. And this is the and that kind of leads me into this example right here. So this one is this one's I think this is still it just recently or it's retiring this end of this year I believe because you can kind of see it coming in and out. But this one is the Indominus Rex one and it's set number 75941. I like this one because that little globe thing. I always had my eye on one of those things. Every set that I've gotten that's had that little I don't know what they call it in the movie that little
Giant.
transport thing. I don't know what it is, but it looks like a big ball, you know, clear plastic ball. And then also the T-Rex, well, the Indominus Rex, I guess, you know, that's, you know, fairly new, I think, in Lego. I'd have to look up the exact set. And then the T-Rex is also a very popular one. In fact, I had like a damaged box set with the T-Rex and I was trying to figure out what I was going to sell it on eBay or something because I can't sell it on Amazon and I didn't really look at it. And then I was just like, I just want to get rid of it or something. You know, I was just going to throw it on some site or something because I didn't really have much of them. And the actual T Rex itself was like $40. I was like, what the heck?
Yeah,
So
that minifig right there is like $40 by itself.
yeah, so I mean, you know, that's one of the things that why this set, I think this series does really well too, is because of the minifigures. Did you find like were you just shocked? I mean, like when you first got like you know one of these sets, and then you were like, I can't believe I sold it for this much money. I mean,
Yeah, I mean it's I still get excited about it like it's still the first time, but it's also like you also kind of get used to it too at the same time. Like, you know, you trust the data, you buy it, and then you just let the market do the work. Really the only thing required of you is patience. And so that's where people get in trouble is they get
mm,
impatient.
mm.
Um,
That or their cash flow or their credit card or something's coming in, they got to pay their bill off. You know, which is why you know you got to think of this as a business and plan things out. You know, when you're investing in things. Well, let's look at. I mean, this is the same set when I was the helicopter one. But if you were to look at this, and you know, one of the things that I was telling you about, where you can set your kind of alerts right here. So this is a little cheat sheet for you guys right here if you're watching. That see how this is this right here, this part right here is blank. That basically means that there's only third party sales in this. So the orange piece in here means that Amazon is actually selling this. So when you see it like this, where if we go back into this is when it's in stock right here. And then it's going in and out of stock at this point. So if you look at this time period, you'll see little orange slices in there. I'm not sure if you guys can see it in the screen, but there'll be orange slices of it, and that means that it's coming in stock. Now, as things get closer to retirement, you know, you're going to see more white in here. This set is just a really popular set. So, but look at this right here. This is recently, as you can see, that it came back in at $100. So what I suggest you guys to do is to set your alerts right here. And so that way there you get, you know, a notice, you get an email or whoever else you want to get it sent to. I think you can do text or whatever as well. And then that way there you're aware of this when it comes in stock because you probably won't find this set in many places. And like I was saying, Greg, I mean, I don't know if you do this too for older sets, but setting the keeper alerts. I mean, like I said, you can find gold here and there. Do you do that for a lot of like other toys? Like, are you finding like toys that you know are kind of like out of stock or something, and you
Yeah,
just they come up in your email and you're like, yes.
yeah, and I do that for a lot of toys. Like I said, there's hundreds of examples where Amazon has a hard time staying in stock on a particular toy. You set the Keepa alert, you get the alert, you buy it from Amazon. Sometimes you can send it right back in and make great money. Sometimes you're waiting for those windows of opportunity, like a Q4 or something like that.
Mhm.
So Keepa is an awesome tool.
Really, I owe this one to you because you were the one that told me about this one right here, and this really set off a rabbit hole for me and a few different things. But if you guys aren't familiar with this, there's a Barbie doll that is called Barbie Dia de Muertos doll. And this is from your. This, by the way, this is from your Twitter account. If you guys don't, if you're not following him, definitely check him out on Twitter. He's got some awesome quotes and tweets out there. He's at Toyfolio, and I'll put that in the show notes down below. But I love how you said this. This is it happened so perfectly on the first day of like Q4. Tell everybody, because I know how much you paid for this, because I had a bunch of these too. What was it? What did you pay for this thing?
$75.
My
75
goodness.
sold it for 750.
Dia de Muertos. I mean, geez, I mean, how can you get this? And this is a toy. This is a Barbie doll. I mean, this. I don't. I mean, I don't even know where to like begin with this because I saw Coco and the movie and everything, and I was pretty fascinated, but I had no idea about this holiday or this time, and I didn't think this would be this popular. But what do you think made this like one of those kind of? Because this is not a toy that you see like this all the time, right?
No, I don't think anybody knew exactly what it was going to be when it first came out because this is the very first edition of this Barbie. This was the 2019 version. They're now on the 2021 version, so there's three different versions that exist now. I think this is just the example of being rare to start with and being a first edition, and that's just a big cultural thing. I think that there's a huge culture around this holiday in Latin America.
Hmm.
Um, Hispanic cultures where they really, value that kind of thing. Yeah. Speaking of Coco, like some of those toys are really good. That movie Coco, that kind of it celebrates this holiday. The guitar that the main character has, like
Hmm.
I sold a ton of those guitars for
That's
like,
another one I want to thank you for, man. Yeah, because I
yeah,
remember that one came around too. I was like, wow, this thing was like crazy selling. Like,
yeah.
I
We
mean,
bought.
I
I
just
think we
couldn't
bought them
believe
for
it.
like 30. Like Toys R Us had them when they were going out of business.
Hmm.
I think I bought a bunch of them for like 17 when they were going out of business, but you could still buy them like from Shop Disney for like
Yep.
$30.
Hmm.
They would sell for 75 to $95 all day long.
These are the things that you definitely want to look for, with any kind of investing in toys. I mean, you're not always going to hit these grand slam home run things. One thing I know that you're really disciplined about is looking for those base hits,
Mhm.
doubles and everything, because those add up too. I mean, what do you think of that, like those kind of deals? Like how often did those ones come around?
I mean, they're probably more plentiful than the home runs like these. I mean, the base hits are what keep you in business. I always say that base hits win ball games. If you can find products that consistently get you a good ROI that, sustains your cash flow and allows you to keep buying them, especially if you can find some kind of replenishable that does that. I mean, that's gold. Where you can find a replenishable toy that you can consistently source and you can sell it for $10 profit over and over and over and over and over again. You know, to me, that's still a lot of time in a lot of ways a lot more exciting than just a big home run like this
Hmm. Hmm.
because you can still source them and they're it's obtainable. People buy them every day, whereas not every day somebody's buying $750 Barbie doll.
Hmm. Right. Right. Yeah. I mean that, but it's just amazing still. I mean, because you see these and you're just like, wow. And there's been a bunch of Lego sets too that you just I mean, like over 500% ROI. I don't even know what the ROI on this is. I mean, I'd have to look it up, but I'm sure you
Yeah.
were like surprised by that one. You know, the other thing I mean, we can go on, me and you can go on and talk all night about all this stuff because, you know, it's just one of those things that I think both of us have a good passion, you know, for figuring out. And, you know, it's like a gold hunt, you know, it's like you're going on a treasure hunt to find things, and like you get all excited when you find this one thing and you're just like, wow. And then it just pans out. And that's always the thing about with Lego and, you know, just and some other toys too, is that each year there's always going to be something new that's going to come up. I really enjoyed this conversation, Greg. If you guys don't know, I mean, Greg is, again, he's the author of Toyfolio, How to Invest and Sell Toys Like Stocks. You can find that on Amazon. Greg, is there anywhere else? I know you're on Twitter as well. Is there anywhere else that anybody can find you on?
That's the main one that I prefer people find me on is Twitter. It's at Toyfolio. Like I said, you can buy the book on Amazon. The book has a Facebook group community in it, and that'll lead you to pretty much everything you need to know. I do run a mastermind group. This is one of those things where if you're following me on Twitter, if you're in that Facebook group where the book links you to, if there's openings, you will find out about it there.
But really, Greg, I really want to thank you for this conversation. Now, if you had to give, you know, what would be the best advice that you can give for someone just starting out with Lego or even toys, you know, as far as getting started?
I would say definitely don't start with buy and hold Lego well, kind of like we talked about earlier. Like, don't go out and buy a brand new Lego set thinking that you're going to hold it, and then sell it for 3 times as much. Because if you're buying, like I said earlier, if you're buying a brand new Lego set, you're going to be holding it for years before you get that capital back. So I would say definitely try to find some turn and burn, like especially this time of year, Q4. There's all kinds of hot toys being released that are brand new to market where you can buy them and sell them the same day and make great money. And so build up capital that way. When I first started out, like Jeremy said, I was selling used books in every category, garage sales, anything you can do to build up capital, because capital is what, speeds the game up. It's what allows you to take advantage of more opportunities when, opportunities to present themselves. And so it's just a combination of, making good buys and building up that capital. Reinvest. Don't be scared to reinvest. I found too many people that they make a little bit of money, but when it starts, they're fine with going out and spending $100, $200 on inventory and reselling it. But when those numbers get to $1,000 and $2,000 in inventory purchases, they kind of like slow down and kind of shy away. And if you're going to build up a Toyfolio or a Lego portfolio or whatever, you're going to have to spend some money. The returns can beat just about anything out there.
That's solid advice for anybody starting out. Well, I really want to thank you for taking the time to join us on the show. If you're listening to us on a podcast, you can find all the information in the show notes. If you listen to us on YouTube, I'll put everything down below as well to find Greg. I will see you guys on the next show.